Okay, this is day 2 of Starcraft 2 hardcore tutorial. Let's see, we're going to do air units today for Terran. Let's start with the Raven. Get this going here. So the Raven is an aerial constructor. He has a build menu. Mostly just makes defenses, can make a command center, automatically makes an automatic refinery. I haven't mentioned this yet, but an automatic refinery it costs obviously less than building a refinery and a command center, so there's less mineral costs invested, but it does mine gas a little bit slower than just a refinery and command center. So I usually only put them in high-risk areas closer to the front line, or areas where just a command center just isn't a great idea. Another problem with having a command center is the mineral drop. I haven't mentioned this yet, but in StarCraft 2 Hardcore, when you have a command center, a nexus, a hatchery, if it's been there long enough and there have been enough mining, basically, if you lose it, it drops 400 mineral in the debris. 400 mineral comes out of you and anybody can pick it up. So you can pick it back up if you get to it first, but since it's being attacked probably, your enemy can pick it up too. But it has to be picked up by a land unit. An air unit can't just come in and fly over it. It's got to actually, a land unit has to come and get it. So when I say an automated refinery is less invested, that just doesn't just mean costs of a command center and a refinery. That also means risk as well, because you're risking the loss of that 400 mineral drop. So automated refineries, the upside is it's less invested. The downside is it mines gas a little bit slower than regular refineries. I think it's by about 10 or 15%. Oh, I did want to mention, in the last video I was just doing a run through for the Punisher, and I found a bug with his stats, and I want to double check it now. I believe the weapons were set to range. Were set to range rather than splash damage. So I believe it was actually causing double damage, and so I wanted to actually test this real quick, just to see how well he does now. Let me get an Ultralisk out here too, because I was really surprised that the Punisher was actually able to kill the Ultralisk coming right at him, especially considering that the Punisher costs a little bit less than the Ultralisk and is also able to attack air units. That's just not right. So I'm double checking this now. I'm gonna get these two ready to fight each other. I think is it still bugged? I think it's still bugged. Yep. It's still bugged. There he is. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to fix that. He's doing double damage is the problem. And it has to do with how the splash damage is working, and I need to readjust that. So I will do that. Oh, I don't need you guys anymore, because I already know it's still bugged. Alright, well, I'll do that later. You go get shot. He's kind of like that. I could just delete them by command, but I think it's cool to just delete them. Okay, we're gonna do air units today. Already said that. It's 2 in the morning. I'm not quite woken up yet. So the Raven is a constructor. The only building that I can build here is a command center. Everything else, or automated refinery, everything else is just a defense structure. This is really helpful if you want to be a jerk and build up on a cliff that your opponent can't see. You can just come up here and you could just start making auto turrets and also supply depots. That's right. So you can not only just put the turrets up there, but also make sure they've got a constant source of supply. So the Raven is a giant pain in the butt unit. Allows you to get to very awkward places quickly, and it does allow you to make a command center, so it is an alternative form of expansion. on island maps. So your 3 ways of expanding for a Terran is you can research liftoff at the engineering bay, right here, and you can either choose between liftoff or salvage. You can either lift off a command center and then fly it to an island. Keep in mind your opponents will see the flying command center, so it's not a stealth way of doing it. You can go up to a starport, you can get a dropship and drop an SCV into it, or you can make a Raven and go make a command center and do it. So it's up to you. A Raven is a very handy unit for the Terrans. It's also a detector. It has a detection range of about, I think, 10 or 11, something like that. So it's about in this area. It detects both land and air cloaked units. It's a very valuable unit. You're going to want at least one at all times. The moment you can afford, like, the gas of it, you need to get a Raven. You just do. They also are able to repair air units. Your only 2 ways of repairing an air unit. Let's get the next one out, just because. If your Banshee takes damage, please don't kill him. Auto turret. It's so fast sometimes. Okay, so he's got damage now. His 2 options to repair are either to go back to the starport, which I will now demonstrate, and the healing beam gets him. Okay. That was really fast. It's alright though. He takes damage, and then the Raven can come and repair him as an alternative. SCVs on the ground don't just point their drill up in the sky anymore and all of a sudden he's better. No, it actually has to be a Raven or it has to be a starport. So he's slowly getting repaired. As you can see, going to the starport is much faster than repairing it out in the field. So there is that. Something else I did want to talk about is how air units, I'm going to put him on control to kind of demonstrate this. When they get under a certain kind of amount of health, okay, there you go, let's get this. It does this. You lose control. Yeah, it kills your guys too. All aircraft do this now. Even Zerg, Mutalisks, when they get under, I believe, under 10%, somewhere like 5 or 10%, when it's critical health, your aircraft do not die instantly, like when they hit 0%. Instead, they're still alive and they'll still shoot all the way down to the ground. The problem is they will now slowly and out of control crash into the ground, like you just witnessed right there. All air units, Falcons, Scouts, Banshees. So that's a new dynamic you need to think about. Meaning it can be an air unit can be damaged so badly that it's not able to stay up in the air and it will crash. And like I said, for a Banshee, it's something like 6 hit points or something, or less. So that is another thing that can happen. So no, the game is not bugged. Stop complaining. That's part of the game. Okay, so the Raven. Have not finished talking about the Raven. There's, I'm sure, more to talk about it. It can make point defense drones. This is very important. Point defense drone is an anti-missile laser. And what it does is, see this circle? Everything within this circle, if any enemy missile, mechanical missile, I need to be more specific since this is very different from Starcraft 2 regular. Mechanical missile, like an actual missile with rocket and guidance. It does not shoot down Hydralisk spines. It does not shoot down... it does actually vaporize some biological things, like Seekers for a Corruptor, but it does not shoot every single kind of missile. It shoots most missiles. You kind of have to just get used to which ones. It's basically larger missiles. Little infantry missiles like Stalker beams and Hydralisk missiles, it doesn't even... that does nothing to it. So there is that. Let's see here. Point defense. Some good tactics for point defense is to keep one over your anti-nuke. Why do I say that? Did you see in that past video how I just used rocket artillery to kill an anti-nuke? Well, if you keep a couple anti-missiles around it, some auto turrets, point defense, you can shoot down most of those missiles before they come and destroy your anti-nuke, so it keeps that safe. it's just a good idea. The AI used to be really bad about just instantly comm scanning your anti-nuke and just missiling it right off the map, to the point where you would actually have to make your point defense over where you wanted to make your anti-nuke, because it would literally nuke it while it's under construction. Like the AI was just really showing its cheaterness, you know, like knowing I know what you got and I'm gonna blast it. So yeah, point defense, very important. You can use it also to, what I like to do is, if let's say you've got a battle cruiser out there, or some capital ship, and it's damaged and he's taking long-range missile hits from Immortals or Scouts or something like that, sometimes like you just have to set up a point, like it's kind of like you're setting up almost like a little tent out in the middle of the map to kind of defend yourself from these incoming missiles, so you could repair this unit in peace, because usually you cannot repair the capital ship nearly as fast as those missiles are damaging it. So you'll usually have to put up some point defense, and usually sometimes more than one if they've got a lot of anti-air. You set up point defense drones kind of near from the direction the missiles are coming from, and then you can maybe move the capital ship home so these things will intercept it on the way. Or you can just set them up around where you're going to repair, and then try to repair them with like 4 Ravens or something. So that is another useful use for point defense drones. You can, yeah, that's pretty much it. You can also do some dick moves. I was thinking like you could place a point defense drone over an enemy missile turret. It basically makes their missile turret useless, you know. If you can get it over the missile turret without dying, you can just place a point defense, and so like the moment the enemy missile turret fires, it will just zap the missile. So it's just kind of one of those little jerk moves. You can do that with other stuff like Arbiter, Slow Field, and that kind of thing. Something worth thinking about. I think for the Raven, there's really not much to say. I'm sure I'll think of something later, but it repairs all units, land and ground. It is used as one of the 2 ways of repairing air units. It's a constructor, makes point defense drones, it's a detector. Very useful unit. Its cost is 75 mineral, 50 gas. There's no reason not to have 1 Raven ready to go. I always have a Raven. In fact, it's usually the first thing I make after a starport is done. I just make a Raven and I put them in a group as soon as possible, because at the very least use detection, and you might just need detection for whatever reason. So that is the Raven. Next unit we're going to go to here is the Banshee. And the Banshee is a gunship. It has 0 armor, like a actual Banshee, or like an actual Apache A64. Small arms can actually get through it. A lot of small arms can, sadly. It's basically used, it has 2 weapons here, and I need to talk about both because they do different things. It's an air-to-ground unit. You can shoot at air units with the guns. You can. It's not recommended. It's not recommended to use this as an air-to-air unit. Most units, even Mutalisks, despite how much damage per second its Gatling gun has, I mean, Mutalisks can usually just come up and clobber it. So it's like a last-ditch effort. You can use it to hunt overlords, but for the most part, this is an air-to-ground unit with some air-to-air ability, but it's limited. Its main ability, its main weapon, believe it or not, is its rockets. I want you to see this for yourself so you can understand the effectiveness here. I'm going to make some tanks, and why was it making only 1 tank? Oh, I know why. You know what? I think I might restart this, because yeah, the costs are all doubled now. Now I know why it's doing this. In fact, you know what? I think I want to restart it right now. I'm going to just restart it right now without having to stop the recording, because I don't want to have to fool around with merging these video files. It's probably because I ran it from the mod itself. Okay. Need to close that. and I'm going to go to the battle test map. I think if I run it from the battle test map, it doesn't double the values, and it also doesn't double make the units. But if I run it from the actual mod itself, it does. Don't ask me why. I didn't make the editor. I definitely didn't make the editor. Okay, so we're gonna run it from here. Alright, we're blue now. I guess we're Crips now. We were Bloods, but now we're Crips. Okay, there we go. The costs are normal again. Yep, it's just some kind of weird bug. If I run it from just the mod, when I say test the document, it doubles everything, and it gives me double of all the units too. So let me get some tanks out here again. I kind of like the fact that I'm blue too, so it looks like I'm the good guys. Red is just such an imperial color. So the Banshee has rockets and it has guns. The guns, let me get a science vessel out here so we can, let me show you how the guns do a lot of damage per second, and it will chew through your ammo fast, but you'll understand why, because it will literally chew through enemy units fast. I'm going to make 50 Marines. All units, I haven't actually talked about this yet. You have an ability to hold fire and then weapons free. When you hold fire, it disables the weapons, and when you weapons free, it will attack again. This is very useful for ammo units that you don't waste them, or you don't want them wasting ammo, like a siege tank, for example. So hold fire is very, very useful. Another option that a lot of these units that have multiple weapons, like guns and rockets, is guns only. And when playing against Zerg, I usually use Banshees on guns only. So there is no actual rocket option. It's just guns only. And then if you want to go back to all the weapons, you say all weapons, and then it puts the rockets back. And now it will attack with both, depending on the unit range. So that's user discretion. Like I say, against Zerg, I keep it on guns only. Against Protoss and Terran, I keep both on, because rockets are usually your better bet. Let's get the science vessel moving out here so I can see these guys. These port test targets. Okay, they're orange. Complementary color to blue. Okay, so they're just enjoying their lives right there and talking about life and their loves of their life and all that stuff. And everything is all fine until this. Mows all of them down, only to lose 6 hit points. And if you noticed, when it attacks, it does line damage. That's what all strafing does for all these Gatling guns from like Falcons or Banshees. So people want to talk about how the Banshee dies so fast. Yeah, but it kills very fast. It just went through 100 mineral of Marines only to lose 6 hit points like nothing. I mean, that was like seconds to lose 50 Marines. So that is guns. And guns can also shred tanks just as fast. In fact, let me get him going here. Those guns, and he lost about a third of his ammo when doing that. So guns are range 12, damage 6, and verse 10 versus light. There's a couple of reasons for this. I don't want to get into it right here, but so that's guns. It's for infantry mostly, but you can still use it on tanks. But why use guns when you can use the lighting? It's changing from it's morning time, so we're going from morning to noon as I see the shadow start to change. Okay. Why use guns when you can use rockets? A rocket has a range of 30 and it does 75 damage each, so I'm just gonna start damaging these guys. So just like that. 75, the damage is not reporting right. It's 75 plus splash. It doesn't show right. Once you play it long enough, you understand about how many rockets it takes to kill certain kinds of units. So a tank, it will one-shot a tank at range 30. Now, sometimes that's hard to get 30 range away when it's got missile turrets and all that other stuff, but when he gets in there, here's range 30, just like that. The tank is gone. Gunships in real life, they melt tanks. That's one of their main functions. They kill tanks. The tank is helpless against the gunship, and the gunship kills them very quickly. It's got rockets to kill them, and its gun can pierce through. So gunships are a terror for tanks, and that doesn't mean just tanks. That also means, in fact, let's get rid of the debris here because I don't have a mess. It also means Dragoons, and I'm going to get a Dragoon out here. The reason I say Dragoons is because a Banshee counters a Dragoon very well because the Dragoon is range 15 or range 20 with upgrade. The Banshee's rocket is range 30. So you guessed it, I'm going to tell them to attack each other, and that Dragoon's not even going to get a shot off, and it's dead. The Banshee is a tank hunter, period. It can kill extra. It's just very strong against ground units in general. Its weaknesses are air superiority units and surface-to-air defense structures like a missile turret, a SAM. These kind of units will just destroy Banshees like nothing. An Immortal is a nightmare for a Banshee because the Banshee can't really kill it except if he uses its guns. It gets really close and it's very risky. So there is that. In fact, let me get an Immortal out here just to have kind of a frame of reference here. Immortal is 350 mineral, 100 gas, and a Banshee is 250 mineral, 100 gas. Put this thing right here so you can just see the hardened shield effect. He's going to fire his rockets, and this thing only takes 10 damage. Why is it doing this? This is, I think, a test map issue. Stop. It's doing double damage again. And I think it's just on this test map. Because even the heart, yeah, it's something with the test map, I think. It's not just the Punisher stats. I think it's actually something. As you saw in the last video, or in the last one when all the units were red, it was making twice as many units and the cost was twice as many, and now it's doing, like, it seems like splash damage is doing twice as much splash damage on just this map. Hardened Shield is supposed to, and normally in game only allows up to 10 damage to hit the shields, but you just witnessed how it's causing 20 damage on this map, so this is a pain. I can't even accurately demonstrate this on this test map, that's sad. Okay, well, in the game, rather than in the editor's test document, when any attack hits an Immortal, he only takes 10 damage to his shields. Trust me, you can see it yourself in-game. I don't know what's wrong with the editor and his test map. I don't know why it's doing that. But now I think I found the reason why the Punisher looks so overpowered in this, because of his splash damage. But anyway, he only takes 10 damage per rocket attack. The Banshee has 100 energy when fully supplied. And let me get one shot off here. So it uses 6 energy per rocket attack. So if you do the math on that, that's like what, about 15 or so rockets. I'm just estimating about 15 rockets or something like that. So it can get through most of its shields, but look how long it would take. 2.5 seconds. Are you really going to want to stay there for 25 seconds? And do you think that an Immortal is going to let you stay alive for 25 seconds right there? By the way, the Immortal's gun range is 25. He's only 5 range away from your rockets. So while you're sitting there waiting to reload rockets, you're dead. I mean, that's it. 2 shots and he's dead. So Immortals are pretty rough on Banshees. And Banshees really have a very difficult time killing them. They can do it, it's possible, if they use their guns at close range, you know, that kind of thing, but it's very situational and it's very rare. The moment I see an Immortal, I keep my Banshees away from it, because the Immortal also has a long-range missile like a missile turret, or a Goliath right here, antimatter missiles, range 100, damage 40, rate of fire once every 10 seconds. Has the same turn speeds and all that as like a missile turret or a Goliath, so you can dodge them, but it's just no fun. You're not really attacking anymore at that point, you're just trying to stay alive. And that's... yeah. So, Immortals counter them well. They counter Dragoons, and Immortals counter Banshees. So if you've got at least an Immortal with a group of Dragoons, your Dragoons should probably be okay or safe. the Banshee probably is not going to risk trying to kill any of your Dragoons if you got a Banshee nearby, or I'm sorry, if you got a Immortal nearby. I probably said that wrong. I think you know what I meant. Another unit that a Banshee does really well against is a Reaver. Let me get a Reaver out here so you can see this. When the Reaver dies, it makes a big explosion too. All those scarabs in its belly just explode all at the same time, and it does. In fact, let me get an Immortal next to this so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So this Banshee's rockets, just one rocket and second rocket. And there you go. Well, now you work. Well, no, he still did 20 damage. But as you can see, the Banshee is another solution to taking out Reavers if you don't have a siege tank or anything like that, and if they have no anti-air in the area. Now, one of the downsides to the Banshee is that it is rocket-based, so a prism cannon will shoot down each of those rockets almost every time. The rocket will not get through. So a prisma cannon is actually a good defense against the Banshee's rocket attack. It forces him to have to use guns, but because the photon cannon's range is 20 and the gun range on the Banshee, right here is at 12, and the photon cannon is doing 50 damage and he has 40 hit points, that photon only has to get one hit and that Banshee is dead. Now he can dodge, the Banshee can dodge the cannon when he's flying around like this, but when he's flying around like this, you're not attacking. And that cannon is shooting once every 1 1/4 seconds. So what are you going to do? Within 1 1/4 seconds, do this, and then do that, do this, and so you can't even hardly get a shot off. So this combination right here, Prisma Photon, right here, is very strong at keeping a Banshee out of kind of a small area like right here, because he can't get the rocket through the Prisma, and he can't kill the Photon because of the Prisma, and then the Photon keeps him from coming up and using his guns. Now, if it was just Prisma Cannons, like I said, it's range 12 for his guns, and the Prisma Cannon is range 11. It can, if it was just Prisma Cannons, you can just park right outside of the range and gun it down. You can gun down all the Prisma Cannons. So one Photon Cannon mixed in with a bunch of Prisma Cannons is usually the way I go, because they support each other. They do support each other in every way. Now this is of course later on where there's already air units on the map. Early on, there's no real reason usually to make a Photon Cannon, unless you're trying to keep pests out like buggies or some other kind of fast unit and you want a wider area of defense covered, where the Prisma Cannon only covers range 11. The Photon Cannon ranges 25 or 20. So that's noteworthy. So as a Protoss, an Immortal is a good ground solution of similar cost to the Banshee. All these ground units here don't do well against him. The Templar actually does, he can storm him, but the Templar will usually die to that first rocket, so you're trading a Banshee for a Templar, and they're about almost the same value. 150 gas, 25 mineral is only a little, what is that, 450, 475, and then a Banshee is 123, so yeah, it's about 550 versus 475 in value, so the Banshee's worth just a little bit more than the Templar. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Stop with your silly rules, Blizzard. I'm mining there, I'm making you money. You even have to be making money in a test map for Blizzard to not want to get rid of you. You have to always be making money with Blizzard, I guess. Which is kind of ironic. Okay. The Templar, like I said, he'll probably get killed, but he can storm the Banshee usually just before the Banshee can fire his rocket, so it's a trade, and you get a little bit more out of killing the Banshee. It's just not a great trade, so it is something you can do, be aware of. But all these infantry units right here will just get destroyed by Banshees. Dragoon, destroyed by Banshees. Reaver, destroyed by Banshees. Colossus, because it can't attack air units, destroyed by Banshees. Immortal, destroys Banshees. Okay, and then your next bet is right here. This right here is your best bet. You can also go Scout too. Scout's just as good of an option, a different way. Phoenix or Scout are your best bets for just anti-Banshee. The Phoenix does have to get a little closer. His range is 20, but like I said, the Banshee's range is 12 for his guns. And I want to show you he has got to dodge. He already got hit by one of those things, and he got hit, and he's done. Phoenix and Corruptors are air superiority units. They only attack air, and that's what they're best at. There's no other unit as good as them at attacking air, because that's all they do. It's kind of like a fire bat. All a fire bat does is kill light units, and that's why there's no other unit that really per cost does so well at killing light units. It's like a fire bat or a flying tank. So a Phoenix is a great solution. Look at the cost of a Phoenix too. 75 gas, 50 mineral, as opposed to the Banshee, which cost 100 gas, 250 mineral. You tell me if that's not a good counter. I mean, that's a great counter. The Scout is a good counter in a different kind of way because of his longer range missiles. His guns are a little too close for, in fact, let's look at the cost of the Scout. 200 gas, 300 mineral, so he's almost twice the value of a Banshee. So that's already getting kind of risky if you want to get into a gun battle with a unit that's half, because you could have twice as many Banshees. Like if I had to guess between 2 Banshees and 1 Scout, who's going to win in a gun battle, I'm going to actually say the Banshees are going to win because there's 2 of them. There's 2 of them. He's got 40 health and 30 shields, and then 2 Banshees would be 40 health and 40 health. 12 range. I could test it right now. All I'm saying is, for being double the price, this is not a good counter, is what I'm trying to get at. A counter is something where there is a very distinct advantage. Let's get these guys on guns only, so they don't fool around with rockets for whatever reason, because I know they just like to make my life like that. And let's get the Scout on guns only too. This is only a gun battle. Let's get this going. Let's see who wins here. See? I had a feeling something like that would happen. So it was a trade. And like I said, a Scout costs almost twice as much as a Banshee. So in a gun battle, they're going to break even cost-wise, which is why you don't use the Scout in a gun battle against a Banshee. And that could go randomly. I could have just done the same exact fight, but if one of the Banshees was just a little bit closer up or further back, the whole results could have been different because of how fast they're attacking. No, the Scout counters the Banshee with its missiles. Range 80, damage 40. Okay, he will one-shot this Banshee with his 2 missile attack if he can get if he can get the hit. So he almost got it there. Almost got it there. I'm trying to give him near misses, give him some false opening. Almost got it there. The problem is the moment this Scout does that, like turns into the right angle or stops, the Scout gets him. So there's a lot of pressure on the Banshee to live. The Scout does a very good job, like the Immortal, of keeping Banshees out of an area. Your Scout and a Phoenix are your 2 best options. The reason I'm not seeing a Corsair is because a Corsair is a different kind of unit. I'm actually curious. I don't think I've actually tested a Corsair with its new stats. I kind of want to. We're going to make 2 of them, so the cost is kind of close. We're going to do 2 Corsairs, and we're going to have them attack 1 Banshee because it's kind of close in cost. And I'm going to have you attack him and him. I'm kind of curious with their 4 armor to see what happens. Okay, yeah, it's what I suspected. The Banshee was going to win. He only lost 5 health. Now, they did stop to slow. I almost, you know what, I want to retest that. I want to retest that, but without them stopping the slow, because there is the possibility that this is a pretty close break even, actually. 2 Corsairs, 1 Banshee. Can somebody heal this guy? Alright. And yes, random pallets will drop in this game, just like Command and Conquer. Keep you on your toes. I have to. It's irresistible. I know I've got like a million gas as it is, but it's the principle of it, Okay, so the Banshee is going, I'm going to order him to attack him and him, and then for them, I'm not going to order them to attack, I'm going to get him closer. There we go. That's how you do it. Okay. So for the Corsair, in order to counter the Banshee, don't just tell them to attack the target. You want them to fly. See, okay, here's it's unfortunate it works this way, but I guess it's just the way it is. If I tell this Corsair right here to attack this Corsair, it's not going to fly at maximum speed and then attack. It's going to slow down. See how it's slowing down? Slow, 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 slow. That right there is a pain. That right there is where it's getting shot up and it's not doing any attacking. So when you use the Corsairs against a Banshee, you're going to want to fly, just fly right into the range that you need, which is closer, range 7. Corsairs have very close range and they have a big area of effect attack. Start attacking once you're in range. Don't tell them to attack the unit, because then he'll do that deceleration thing, and just as you saw the difference of results. The Banshee won, only losing 5 hit points if you do it that way. But if you fly them right into that Banshee's close side and just start attacking, you see how the Corsairs do much better. Corsair is really a cool, nifty little air unit. It's not like most any other units because it's got 4 armor, and yet it's a small air unit. It does area of effect, so this is a cool little unique air unit. I like it. I don't use it a lot, but I definitely use it to hunt Mutalisks, or if you need to fly over a Hydralisk land. Mutas and Hydras, they can't get through its armor without any upgrades, that is, so they're pretty handy. And they cloak for a short period of time. You see that? They can cloak for about a minute, and that's assuming you're not running down their energy attacking. So if you are, then the cloak is even less. So they are kind of a stealth fighter, and they've got armor. These are nifty little units. You can use them for reconnaissance real quick, hunt Mutalisks. They really add a lot to the Protoss group. But I need to get back to Terrans, because that's what this video is about. So I've talked about the Banshee versus Protoss. You've got a couple of good counters there. You've got the Phoenix, you've got the Scout, you've got the Immortal. These are your 3 best bets, and they're all in a reasonable price range when dealing with a Banshee. Everything else, though, basically gets destroyed by Banshees. I also talked about the need for a Prism and Photon as good defense against a Banshee, so there's that. Against the Terran, you have a number of options. You always have the Stinger. I just gotta say that. You always have that 25 gas Stinger who can one-shot it with his rocket. If he gets the hit, he can one-shot it with his rocket. And because Stingers are so small, you can hide him one little Stinger behind some tree, and he's not even paying attention to it. And then right out of the woods, some rocket comes and gets him. So Stingers are evil like that. Auto turrets can shoot down the incoming missiles, but one rocket can take out the auto turret. So that's very situational. It really almost depends on which way the auto turret is facing. And sometimes, this is some seriously OCD micromanagement here, but you see how I just turned the auto turret to face towards this by telling it to attack and then stop? You can actually face your turrets this way. Yeah, he might get a couple shots off on accident, but it's worth it. So if you know that missiles are, let's say I knew missiles were going to come in from this direction here where the Banshee is, okay? I know Banshees are coming in from this direction. My auto turret is sitting here pointing at the barracks. I don't know why. They're idiots. So I know rockets are probably going to come from this direction, so I can actually change the facing of it by telling it to attack the bunker and then stop really quick. So now it's facing. That delay time now is critical, because now the rocket is just going to pretty much instantly get shot by the auto turret that's already facing it. So that's a little thing you can do if you anticipate attack from a certain direction. I usually don't have enough time in a game to do that kind of micro, but you can do it if you don't have much else going on. A Stinger is a good option. Everything else here is going to get destroyed by a Banshee. Everything else. Reapers, everything. They're all getting destroyed. I want to actually test something here with the Ghost Snipe, because this is something that I think I need to change, because Snipe doesn't really apply to... Let me see how much damage this thing does. First, let me have him facing towards him. Oof, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, he used the high caliber rifle to hit the Banshee, I guess, in a critical spot. I guess that's the story, right? Let me see what happens if I... Okay. This is the only reason I have an issue with that. I mean, it's not going to upset the game a whole lot. Is that it's instant hit. So, the other issue is that the Ghost is so expensive, 100 gas, 25 mineral, and the Banshee is 100 gas, 250 mineral. This is not a huge disturbing thing. Now, if the Ghost was like Captain Jones, if Captain Jones only cost like 25 mineral, yes, this would be definitely a disturbing thing. You could just easily counter a Banshee better than a Stinger could by going Ghost, but Ghosts are not used for shooting this kind of thing down, so it's kind of rare. It's something you can do if you've got nothing else in the area. Just remember that, your snipe ability. I don't know how I feel about that right now. It is what it is. Like I said, a Stinger is still probably... 4 Stinger launchers will cost as much as 1 Ghost. And you'll get usually more for your value for fighting, if that's all you're wanting it for. So, but everything else here is just going to get destroyed. Uh-oh, I got a problem here now. Remember how I said if he's a 25 mineral unit? I forgot, marksman can do snipe now too. Well now, I'm gonna have to write this down and reevaluate this part of the game. Banshee versus marksman. This is a problem. I think it's gonna have to be that snipe only affects still targets, because you're sniping him from far away. You're getting that headshot from far away. So this is the moment where the game just changed. Not only because it makes sense that you're only sniping still targets. Nobody snipes a target moving like a gunship moving at 175 miles an hour. Okay, nobody's sniping that. Nobody's hitting the pilot in the cockpit at 175 miles an hour. I'm sorry, especially if he's not even running straight at him, but he's doing like this. You're not hitting that from 1.5 kilometers away. Okay, so it's a realism mod. It looks like it's going to have to be stationary targets only. I'm going to have to figure out how to get that working, because marksman right now is a definite hard counter to a Banshee. If he only costs 25 mineral and he can just almost kill a Banshee with his ability. So that, that's going to have to change. Anyway, I was saying, all these other units, man, I'm going to have to give up on this, you know. All these units get destroyed by the Banshee, and then I'm like, oh, wait, not that one, not that one, not that one. Okay, maybe not all these units, maybe only half these units, right? That's going to change. Snipe ability is going to change. You're not going to be able to hit moving targets anymore. You know, you'll have to wait for the Ultralist to stand still, basically. It's fine. And especially since snipe is really, in the real world, only used to hit like radar dishes, and, you know, in Starcraft terms, that means like an observer. Again, you're not going to snipe an observer that's flying fast up in the sky, little cloak thing flying fast up in the sky, and you're telling me from 1.5 kilometers away you're going to bullseye that? Seriously? You know, even an auto turret doesn't have that range and could do that kind of thing, and it's a freaking bot. It's AI controlled, you know. So anyway, that was the infantry for Terran vehicles. Most of this is getting wrecked except the SAM and the Goliath, but I'm not on that page. Except the SAM. So on this page right here that you see, the Banshee kills all of these units. All of them. All of these units, the Banshee is a great solution against all of these units, except the SAM, obviously. The SAM is about the same cost, just a little bit more mineral than a Banshee, but he will destroy the Banshee from pretty far away. The Banshee can still kill him, though. This is more, I should say, more of a trait. They're about worth as much, and they cancel each other out. Now, the SAM does have longer range, and that is noteworthy. He'll usually get at least one try before the Banshee can even start to attack, and that one try will usually do it. But it's all very situational. The Banshee still has a chance against the SAM, but my money is, time after time after time, the SAM will probably beat the Banshee because it has its greater range. But in the mech menu, this is an interesting thing here. We've got the Walker, which is good for killing Mutalisks, but here's the issue. His range for his flat gun is 25, but the rocket range is 30. And so this allows the Banshee to skirmish the Walker. And the other issue is the fact that it only takes one hit, one missile to take that Walker out. So a Walker is just, although it is a decent ground-to-air unit against mutants like Mutalisks and Reapers, against a Banshee it is not. It just doesn't have the range, can't take the hits. The Penguin, its only salvation against the Banshee would be its EMP missile, if it got the hit. If it got the hit. And the EMP missile can be dodged fairly easy because it doesn't turn very well. So otherwise the Penguin is screwed. Totally screwed, unless the Banshee is stupid enough to come up and use its guns at range 12 and the Penguin's range is 11. That's just ill-advised if you're using a Banshee guns only against the Penguin, because then the Penguin has a chance, but otherwise no. The Raptor, now this is interesting. This all depends. The Raptor's guns also are range 11, so again, no help against rockets. However, it does have a missile ability, so I'm going to put this guy in patrol, and I want to see when I use the missiles Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, he's screwed. The Raptor is also screwed. I forgot. His missile ability is now ground only. It's just surface-to-surface missiles. You can't attack air units with it. Yeah, and that's fine too because it's fine. He is a ground only unit anyway. Basically. So yeah, the Banshee will hard counter a Raptor because the Raptor's only chance is if the Banshee is stupid and comes within his range. So there's that. The Harbinger is also mostly a ground-to-ground only unit, so that kind of summarizes that. His salvo is ground-to-ground. His gun, though, right here at range 20, also screwed. His rocket range 30, gun range 20, Banshee's faster. What's the rule? If it's faster than the unit and has more range than the unit, then it counters the unit. Simple as that. So the Banshee does counter the Harbinger. If you see a Harbinger, you make a Banshee. Again, if he's got a lot of anti-air, though, that changes everything, and a Banshee isn't a solution. But if his anti-air is weak, then yes, a Banshee is a good call versus these units, as long as he doesn't have these overpowered marksmen, right? That just instantly blow him out of the sky. That's really sad. But you know, I'm glad I'm discovering this as I'm doing this video tutorial. It's causing me to be very thorough and actually go through each unit and then evaluate it myself if I'm not sure. Be like, oopsie, that's not supposed to do that. Okay. The Catapult, I don't even want to make one. This is a ground wheel. Okay, here's the thing. The Catapult has a chance better than some of these other mechs, but it's not great. He has two miss abilities. This one, which is his ground-to-ground missile, which does nothing to the Banshee, obviously. But then this one right here, his Javelin Missile. It's easy to dodge, or at least I say that. Let me test it. He fires some slow missiles. Oh, wow, he turned at the wrong time. Let's try this again. Let's try this a number of times. I might have to turn that turn angle. One of those missiles is still trying. I love that. Let's get him in a turn pattern if I can get him doing that. Come on, let's get turning. Nope, that's not what I'm talking about. Nope. Nope, that's not what I'm talking about. Something like, come on, get turning. There we go. I think that should do it. Maybe. Nope. Come on. Why? I gotta do it tighter. You see, getting him in a pattern is not as easy as you would think, right? Okay. Well, that's a pretty sad little tight one. He can actually turn wider than that, but we're just gonna go with that for now, because if it hits that, that's kind of sad. Probably not with oh, okay. I'm gonna have to adjust. The missiles on this are meant to hit big targets, capital ships, guardians. It's not meant to be able to hit smaller ships so easily. I am going to probably have to... I'm going to write this down on the notepad right now. The problem that I was having earlier is the fact that it wouldn't even hit a still land target. Or the land target could move just like a couple feet, and it wouldn't even hit that land target, just like it just moved a couple feet, and that was super irritating. Actually, you know, I'm just gonna do this myself here because okay, the turn speed on this is just too tight now. It was too slow, and now it's too fast. So okay, ignore what you just saw here. This is being changed. Ideally, this missile is too slow to hit a fast-moving target in the air. It's meant to hit slower capital ships. It's meant to hit guardians, ultralisks. It's not meant to hit scouts or banshees or anything like that. So I was going to say that the Catapult has a chance better than some of these others, but it's not that great, and that's how it's going to be once I change those stats. So that is the Catapult. It can do something, but it's not great. Now your Goliath is a great unit against the Banshee because it has his range 80 Hellfire missiles that one-shot a Banshee, and they do pretty good at catching it too. So the Goliath is actually a great unit to use. Also, his guns are range 11, damage 12. So right there, he's at the same gun range as the Banshee. Actually, no, Banshee was 12, wasn't it? Pretty sure it was 12. Let's get a Banshee out here. These values, they always change so much over time to be tweaked. 12. Okay, they're about the same then. His is 11, Banshee's is 12. So, and the reason why the Banshee is 12 is so that way there's a need to make both photon cannons and prism cannons. If it was 11, then the prism cannon would just totally screw the Banshee every time. Because he couldn't use his rockets, and he couldn't get close enough to use his guns, so it makes it more dependent for the two. But anyway, even in a gun battle, at least the Goliath can do something. I would bet that the Banshee would still win because of its rate of fire with its guns. I mean, we can try it real quick so you can see what I'm talking about, but I mean, this is not rocket science. Okay, you turn your missile off for whatever reason. Okay, you. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, but the Banshee does get down to about half health in a gun-only battle. So, but like I said, you're not going to want to use your guns against the Banshee. Your missiles are key. So Goliath is a pretty good option against it. It's also cheaper. 75 mineral, 250 gas. Just a little bit cheaper than the Banshee. Just a little bit. They're worth about the same, but it's just a little bit cheaper. So there is that. The Goliath is pretty good. The Wolf, okay. We're right back to the same issue as the Catapult, since the Wolf has the same missability as the Catapult. The Wolf, his guns are also too close range, range 8. That's great against land units. That's not good against Banshees. The Banshee would win against the... I don't even want to test it because I already know. The Wolf would just lose. If the Goliath lost, then the Wolf definitely will lose in a gun battle. One versus Banshee. He has the same ability as that. Here goes that missile. Trying to find its purpose in life. Yep. So he does have that missile ability, so like the Catapult, he's got about the same odds as the Catapult against the Banshee. So there is that. The Punisher is not fast enough and does not have the range. He has range 20, and the Banshee has range 30. And you know the rule, if it's got more range than the unit, it's got more speed than the unit, then it counters the unit. So the Banshee counters the Punisher. The Punisher is literally helpless. The only way the Punisher could ever... he'd have to be lucky, and the Banshee operator would have to be stupid. He'd have to literally walk, a big old unit like this would have to walk up within 10 range away to start one-shotting the Banshees out of the sky. So if the guy's not paying attention, that's your only chance. Otherwise, the Banshees are going to counter the Punisher. A Thor, Thor becomes a different situation just because of the cost and scale. Thor's actual attack, his guns are 25 range, which is only 5 range off from the Banshee's rockets. But that's not the issue. The Thor does have a surface-to-air missile system that is intended to be better guiding than the Catapult. So he can actually use right here. Let me do this again. And get this going so he's not... Okay. So he's doing his little pattern over here. It looks like the same turn rate as the Catapult, but actually that's fine for this one. His surface-to-air missile attack is supposed to be a little more effective at that. So the issue with the Banshee versus the Thor issue is, see, the Thor is a siege unit. His power is in his range, both with his cannons and with his missiles. And so you'd have to have a lot of Banshees to take him out. Now, I have not tested, like, what would you do? Let me see how much, 3,150, and then a Banshee is 100. So let's just say 5 Banshees, which would be, let's see the Banshee cost here. 5 Banshees would be 500 gas and times 250. Okay, so it would probably be closer to like 8 Banshees maybe, even though that's higher in gas, though lower in mineral. About 8 Banshees versus 1 Thor. I don't know, that to me, I'm thinking those Banshees would be pretty quick work of the Thor. again, this is very situational. It has to do with, first of all, 8 Banshees. Usually you don't need 8 Banshees for anything. They're going to die fast to a lot of other units. But I guess if you saw that your opponent had a Thor, I guess you could justify making like 6 to 8 Banshees. There are better counters to the Thor. There are just better counters to the Thor. I would rather just make a Firestorm and come at him from the back for a lot less cost than making 6 to 8 Banshees. A lot less cost. Yeah, so there is that. Yeah, there's just better ways of dealing with a Thor than a Banshee. But I guess what I'm trying to say is the Banshee can still do damage to the Thor, but that it's close between the two. It really is close. Assuming the Banshee did like 100 damage per attack every 2.5 seconds, that would mean he'd need about 16 to 17 attacks to kill him. So each Banshee would have to fire twice. That would be 5 seconds. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, because his missile ability, cooldown 10 seconds, yeah. Now that I think about it, Banshees would be a counter to a Thor. It wouldn't be break even, the Banshees would counter. Like if I had a Thor, I would be worried if I saw a bunch of Banshees around, but I would have to try to start using the missile ability to shoot them down one at a time from far away. The issue is that you can keep... Here's the issue. Here's why I don't think that a Banshee is a practical solution to a Thor. All you need is like one SAM next to your Thor, and boom. Now your Banshee solution doesn't work. All you need is a Goliath or a SAM or something like that to go with your Thor, and those Banshees are going to die fast. The Thor is almost becomes the bait to the trap. So, I could say that a Thor by himself, yes, the Banshees would do well against that if they knew where he was, and he didn't know where they were for sure, because then they can come up, they could rocket him while he's sitting there trying to turn around and, you know, come back guys, and then he gets one missile off, he kills one Banshee, and then they turn around, they do another salvo. So yeah, I can see how Banshees could definitely rip a Thor all by himself, but what are the odds? Well, never mind, the odds are actually high. I was going to say, what are the odds that Thor is just going to be out by himself? Actually, they're pretty high. A lot of people do that. They don't like bringing other units with their Thor for some reason. And I say that talking about myself too, because when I just got my Thor infested. It sounds like a sexual problem. It sounds like an STD. I just got my Thor infested. I got my Thor infested just the other day by some defiler that just came out of nowhere, and then bam, and then I was like, sorry guys. And then I used a Firestorm to kill the infested Thor. So again, see, an infested Thor is very much like a Thor. So what did I just decide to do to solve that problem? I got a Firestorm. I had Hanzo use his Marines to get the Thor to have to turn around to face the Marines so he wouldn't have enough time to shoot the Firestorm, and I came up behind him and I bombed him. So that was just how I decided to deal with it, and I still think that's a good way of dealing with Thors. But the Banshee I don't think is one of them. Just because there's so many other things could go wrong. All he's got to do is build a SAM, and now your solution is not really a solution. Now you're getting countered. So that's the Banshee. Against Zerg, let me get another Banshee out here, these poor Banshee pilots. Against the Zerg, first obvious solution is a Corruptor. Air superiority unit. Did I really say make an Overlord? I guess I did. A Corruptor is very much going to have the same results as a Phoenix. He has a 22 range Parasite Spore. It only takes 2 of them to kill a Banshee. So this right here is a pretty good counter. You got 1 hit, and if he ever turns around to run away, the Corruptor has more speed, twice as much speed, and more than about twice as much range. What's the rule? If it's got more speed and it's got more range, it counters it. So the Corruptor is a natural counter to the Banshee. In fact, so much so that the AI, I've set the AI up so that whenever a player starts using Banshees to attack its units, it will immediately find any idle Corruptors that just aren't doing anything, they're just chilling, and just go send them right after that Banshee. And return home once their mission is done. The reason is because Corruptors for a Zerg keep the sky clear of things like Banshees that are meant more. Banshees are meant for killing ground targets. and Corruptors are air units meant to kill other air units. So this is where the Banshee loses big time. Or I'm sorry, where the Banshee, yeah, the Banshee loses big time versus the Corruptor. Again, its only hope is if the player is stupid to allow the Corruptor to become so close that the Banshee can use its guns. That is the only hope for the Banshee. In most cases, I know this sounds crazy or suicidal, but like I said, if you try to run from a Corruptor as a Banshee, you're gonna die. Because now you're in a straight line of fire for his missile, so it won't dodge the missile. And you can't outrun the Corruptor. Usually what I'll do is I will suicide run into the Corruptor with guns. If I can miss the first shot, I will try to run into it and just gun as much of it as I can. Because I know there's no running from a Corruptor. You can't. So, there is that. As a Zerg, let's get another Banshee out here. I like to see it while I'm talking about the unit. I got my Thor infested. That's the line of the day for me. I got my Thor infested. Sounds like something that a Marine would say, you know? Or like one of those pissed off sound files, you know? That Kerrigan infested my Thor. Alright. So, a Brutalisk is another counter. It's a different scale, but it's still a counter, and the reason is because, let me get one out here. The reason is because it's got 750 health. This Banshee's it's gonna be a while. Obviously you would have more than one Banshee to be a cost equivalent. The Brutalisk is 750 mineral, 150 gas, and I really need to give it a tooltip. Now that I look at that, I need to write that down. Hold on. I'm finding all these wonderful things as I go through this stuff. It's probably very good that I do. The Brutalisk is a support unit. It gives 32 sight over cliffs. It's tall, can see over cliffs. It has 32 vision. It's very necessary for, oh, well, I'm not doing the Zerg tutorial yet. But it is an anti-air unit. He does have a melee attack, but he also has a ground-to-air attack, which is the same as a Corruptor's weapon. So range 22, 25 damage. It's the same weapon as a Corruptor, only he shoots it from the ground. So he only needs 2 shots to kill a Banshee. Now the Banshee needs many shots, about 7 to 8 shots to kill a Brutalisk. Also his ability, which has even further range, which is range 25, can also one-shot a Banshee. So this Brutalisk can take on several Banshees before they're able to do enough damage to him. So a Brutalisk is another counter to a Banshee. And what else do we have? Scourge is obviously a counter. Actually, the Scourge is kind of a stupid counter. I can't even test this because of how fast he would need to shoot. The reason I say the Scourge is a stupid counter is, and it may not even be a counter. The reason is because if you make the Scourge, let me make 1 unit of Scourge here. It costs 100 gas, 25 minerals for 4 of them, so that's about 25 gas each. And if you send these 4 Scourge after this guy, I'm going to see if I can do this slow enough. This is probably not going to do it credit. Turn you to guns only. We're going to have you guys attack him, and we're going to have him attack this. Nope, stop, guys, stop. We're going to come further across the map so I can have more time to target these guys. What are you doing? Go home. Go home, Sam, go home. Where's the Banshee? Alright. Here's the Banshee, so I'm going to have him attack this one, this one, and then I'm going to have these guys attack Scourge. I have the feeling he might gun all of them down before they're even able to do their thing. Yep, that's what I thought. So, the Scourge are not really good against something like a Banshee who's waiting for him. That's why I said it might be a stupid counter. It only would take 1 Scourge to get through, though. So if he's busy doing something, or if he's out of, well, obviously if he's out of ammo, anything counters it once he's out of ammo, basically. So the Scourge is not the best idea. Mutalisks actually can do fairly well, because the guns can only kill so many Mutalisks, but once those Mutalisks get up to him, in fact, let me do a demonstration of this. We're going to make 12 Mutalisks here. And the reason 12 is because the cost of a Mutalisk right here, as you can see, is 125. So this is about 50 gas, 200 mineral worth of Mutalisks. So, you know what, actually I'm going to make, we'll do a little more than 12. I'm not going to take all of them though. I'm trying to get the value, total value, to be a little bit We're gonna leave like 3 behind. 2, 3. No. Okay, so we're gonna do 15. 15 Mutalisks is about the same value as 1 Banshee, and I'm gonna let him sit right over here. Man, this is gonna be a pain in the butt to have to tell him to attack all these guys. Go fill up on ammo. Get you there. Slow this down. We're gonna do you. You are going to come over here and attack him. We'll see. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. But what I was getting at here, you see what's happening? Even with a bad attack. My point is, though, I think you can see how, yeah, he does kill a first good chunk of them, but when they just bum rush him, they will kill the Banshee usually, so even Mutalisks do well against the Banshee, even though a Corruptor is your better bet. Obviously a Spor Crawler. Let's get one going here. Spor Crawlers and Secret Nests are also very good defenses against Banshees. Oh, you know what? I haven't actually done any overview on the mechas or mechanoid. Well, oh well. They'll just have to figure that one out. Rest in peace, noobs. The Secret Nest right here, range 35. It shoots the same kind of projectile as a Brutalisk does. This thing right here. But he has further range. So the Secret Nest has range 35, and its Secret does a little bit more damage, I think. Oh yeah, it does 2 of them. That's what it is. Wow, he's dying right here. So this is a good, since he outranges the Banshee, and he will take out a Banshee with 1 round. His 2-round burst. So this right here is a good one. The Spor Crawler is a different kind. The Spor Crawler is really intended for anti-capital ship, but because the Banshee has to stop to fire a lot of the times, or stop to turn around to aim, it does make it vulnerable. The Spor Crawler is not as good of a closer range defense. It is super annoying though, longer range. Like your Banshee, you'll be flying around, happy as can be, like, yeah, I'm a Banshee, I own everything on the ground basically. And then right out of nowhere, some giant green spore just comes at you and just ends all your fun. That's how Spor Crawlers are strong. Ooh, look, free money. You, go get free money. I know I don't need it, but greed, right? 98888888888. Okay, plus 400. I'm richer now. So the Spor Crawler is a different kind of, it kind of keeps a whole area, because its range right here, as you can see, is 80. It keeps a range 80 area free of just, the Banshees don't want to stop to fire, and the Vikings don't want to stop to land. You know that's coming. Wow, it just started raining again. It's always raining. So these are 2 good defensive options right here, just to keep them out of your base. This is actually one of the reasons why a lot of players don't want to make Banshees, because the AI actually makes defense, and they're playing against the AI. Now, if you're playing against the human, I'm willing to bet that a Banshee is much better against the human. Why? Because most humans don't make defense. They don't want to make defense. They want to attack. They don't want to make defense. They don't understand that defending your base is just as important as attacking his. If you can waste his resources on all of his wasted attacks, he'll be left with nothing to defend. Defense is very critical in the game, and it's not all about attack. And so these units right here do a very good job at keeping, especially Secret Nest, keep out Reapers, and they keep out Banshees. And of course this one right here over a larger area is a serious pest. It keeps the Banshee from really being able to attack without having to worry about dying. So that's kind of how they differ between the two. Let's see what else we have here. Nope, I didn't think. Well, okay, you do have this right here. This right here is, I'll get into later when I do the Zerg tutorial. It's about a swarm colony, and what this does, this is the Zerg's anti-missile system. And you see all these little green particles flying around, even though if you can ignore the rain, you see all the little particles now that are flying around? Those are little Zerg creatures that like to collide into the missile before the missile can get to its target, so it detonates before it can get to the target. This is an anti-missile system right here. It will block most missiles, or I should say it will cause the missiles to explode, most of them, before they hit their target. It can still be overpowered by enough missiles, but it will catch at least half of a salvo. I mean, it stops a lot of missiles right here. It will definitely stop one missile at a time, which is what the Banshee comes in, because his one rocket is just going to keep getting destroyed by this thing. So this is a different kind of defense. This will keep the missiles out. So the only way the Banshee could actually do anything to this defense now is guns only. So this right here, like a Seeker Nest and a Swarm Colony, is a very strong defense against the Banshee, because he can't use his rockets, so he has to use his guns. If he's using his guns, he has to come within seeker range of this, and he has to come straight at it and aim long enough. And I mean, he'd have to time it really well, because he'd have to time the volleys. I'm not saying it's not impossible, I'm just saying it would make it more difficult. Another form of defense, even though Banshees for the most part will shred Hydralisks. Obviously Marines or Hydralisks, if they're able to catch up to the Banshee, they will destroy the Banshee. The Banshee is not meant to be caught within the range of a Hydralisk or a Marine. It does not take small arms fire well. Okay, it's not a high altitude aircraft like an F-16 flying around. It's not armored. It carries rockets, it carries guns, it delivers a lot of firepower, but it's also easily killed. It's just the nature of the Banshee. That's how an AH-64 is used. No one's going to want to fly their AH-64 over a giant infantry formation. That's just suicide. And I'm talking about the real world, so obviously you wouldn't want that in this either. So that is the Banshee. Let's have him go home now. We're done with the Banshee. The Falcon, yes. The Falcon, infamous for his flying skill and not crashing all the time. Renowned throughout the galaxy. Okay, so this is still something that I'm still debating on. Okay, see his wide turn range? The reason why the turn range is so wide is because, Bink right off the map, because it gives value now to the Banshee and the Banshee's ability to, he'll probably die when I'm just off camera talking about him. He'd just die for no reason. The Banshee, see how the Banshee just turns on a dime? It's like a gunship can just turn on a dime. Okay? So with a Banshee, you have a lot of control. But with a Falcon, like a real world, like F-16, an F-16 is not just going to be able to turn on the dime like a gunship. And so this is symbolic for the wide turn radius of a fighter like, oh, money, you, money. It's symbolic for the wide turn radius of an F-16, an F-15, any kind of jet really, any kind of fighter. It also, believe it or not, this is going to sound kind of strange, but for reconnaissance purposes, it's actually more useful that it has a wide turn radius, because then you can keep him in a circular pattern, kind of patrolling a part of the map. So, say you don't have a science vessel, that's okay. You can kind of keep a relative amount of vision over a large area, like I'm having him do right here. See how he's circling this perimeter? Let's say this is my whole base right here. Well, what he's doing for me right now is he's doing a patrol of the outer perimeter of my area, and it lets me know in a very cheap, non-radar way what's out there. He also has a strafing attack. Right here is 20mm Gatling gun. It's the same gun that's actually on the Banshee, so there's really no new, I don't have to really go into that anymore. However, it is range 15 rather than range 12, so he does have more range with his guns than the Banshee does. He can do strafing runs. He's got his airspeed defense when he's moving more than speed 3. Once he gets over speed 3, he gets his airspeed defense, so small arms attacks can't harm him. The only thing that harms him when he's doing this is missiles or really strong instant hit attacks like an Immortal gun. So you'd be surprised how long you can keep a Scout or a Falcon in a pattern like this over enemy territory. And what I like to do, this is kind of a jerk move. It's just cancer sometimes to the enemy. So I'll put a aircraft in a pattern like this, okay? And you just saw me how I did earlier. And I'll put a depot like right here because I know that this is one of where he flies over when he does this pattern. So I know when he flies over, he's going to catch more. Okay, here's a depot right here, so that he's probably catching ammo from. So let me speed this up so he gets here faster. See, he's going to... Okay, he's kind of far away from that. But I'll look at the pattern that they're in, and I'll put a depot somewhere along that pattern. Because here's the beauty of it. If he's flying around and he sees hydras like right here, he's just going to shred a whole line of them for free. He's going to shred anything. Like if you have him circling over enemy territory... In fact, let me get that going here. Let's see if I can do that. Stop. Yeah, another way to get them to slow down because they're hard to control is tell them to go fly into the corner of the map, because then it just causes them to stop. They've got nowhere to go. They'll just bounce. So that is one way to control Falcon. I know they're hard to control. That is intentional. That is by design. It's not accidental. It also allows the Scout, which is more advanced than a Falcon, to have better maneuverability than a Falcon. So it kind of mimics the idea that the Protoss are more advanced than the aircraft and so on. I'm going to just do... now he can shoot his missiles while he's moving too. He can do that, but I don't want him to. I'm going to put him to guns only, and I'm going to see if I can't get him into a pattern over enemy territory, because I want to show him... That's not good. So he just did a little strafing run on these units right here. Yeah, those flight turrets are going to be the death of him. Oh yeah, that's not going to work. Well, okay, we're going to send him home now because that's not a good idea. But you could keep him in a circle like this if you wanted to. That's the turn. That's the radius of his turn, so you can see for yourself on the mini map. That is how wide the Falcon turns. So in a dogfight, like I say, if you see two Falcons fighting, it's actually kind of cool because you can see them trying to turn into each other, kind of like two aircraft trying to turn over a battlefield. The Corruptor, of course, has a huge advantage of that because it has a 0 you can turn on a dime, and it's an air superiority unit, so that's one of the things unique about the Corruptor. But the Falcon right here, he can strafe. In fact, I bet you... Oh, so many flak turrets. The reason why flak turrets are rough, even though they don't get through the air armor well... Let me show you so you can see the stats. It's an instant hit weapon that does 10 damage just to all units, and then another 10 for against light units. It's range 25 and it's 0.8 rate of fire. The point is, it's gonna, each of those flak turrets is gonna be doing 2 damage every less than a second. So he's gonna 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. He's gonna be taking 10 damage every 0.8 seconds as he flies over this. He can only make about 2 or 3 passes over that before he's gonna be dead. So flak turrets actually do keep scouts out. The reason I said is because a missile turret is actually useless against a Falcon or a Scout that's flying in a pattern like that, because it just cannot hit. It just cannot hit. A lot of the times it won't have the right angle. It won't shoot at the right time or have the right angle to hit the Falcon or the Scout. Right, so you have to use something like flak turrets. The best way is just another aircraft. The best way to bring an aircraft down is another aircraft, like a Corruptor, another Falcon, another Scout. I know it's not a counter, but that is a way of dealing with it. Immortals. Okay, well, let's just go into the overview now of just how well he does against different units. The Falcon will basically kill all these units, except for Snipe, right? See, that's the issue. I'm glad I really caught that. Snipe is really ridiculous. Snipe is going to be changed so that it can't hit moving targets, so let's just forget about marksmen and go instant killing them, okay? All these other units, even Stingers, do nothing. The Stinger missile just doesn't turn well enough. It might get a lucky hit. It's going to be very random. I've seen so many times where it'd be like, where the AI would just spam Stingers, and all 12 or more missiles would just miss the Falcon flying at max speed, turning as tight as he can. They'll just miss, and the thing is, he can just go home, rearm, and then do a strafing run over that whole cluster of Stingers and just rip them to shreds, and they didn't even have a chance to get a missile off. That's the beauty of the Falcon, is it has speed. The Falcon and Scout are some of the fastest units in the game. His speed right here is 22. Yes, in real world stats, the air units should have a speed of 60 or 120. It's one or the other, I can't remember. I fidgeted with that early on. It's ridiculous. It's not practical for gameplay. 22 is still several times faster than like a Banshee. It's still fast. It can still get from one end of the map to the other. In fact, let me time this right here so you can see for yourself how long. This map, I believe, is the same size as all StarCraft 2 hardcore maps are the same size. All of them. They're the maximum 256 by 256. They're all the same size. So I'm going to put him in the corner right here like he's in trouble, and I'm going to have him go here at 51, 52, 53, 54, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 1, 2. Well, he started slowing down again. It takes about 14 seconds, we're going to say. About 14 seconds to get from one end to the map to the other. If he's already stopped, so it's got to take time to build up his acceleration, or got to take time to build up his speed by his acceleration. So if he's already accelerated, it'll be less than 14 seconds, a lot less. And if he doesn't stop, also it'll be a lot less. It's about 10 seconds. That's a good way of thinking about it. So if you see something and you're sending Falcons to do a strafing run, know that you've got about a 10-second delay for those Falcons to get there. And yes, if he gets damaged, he can be used as a weapon just in his crash, right? He can guide his crash into the enemy. That's kind of a last-ditch FU. So, versus Terran, infantry don't really have anything. Let's go to vehicles here. The SAM is interesting. It doesn't do well against the Falcon if the Falcon is moving. And if you can dodge those little missiles that turn around, they'll usually get 2 tries. Oh, I'm sorry, they'll get usually a total of 3 tries. The first try, second try, and then the third try, only some of them is usually how it goes. You can usually dodge the missiles. So what generally happens is the Falcon will go over and do his deed and kill whatever he wanted to kill with his strafe, and then he flies out of enemy territory. But now the SAM gets their chance for retaliation. The SAM fires its salvo. It goes after the Falcon, and now the buck is on the Falcon to stay alive so that it was actually a gain. It was a benefit attack. It wasn't just a trade. Trading a Falcon for whatever he strafed. And so now he's got to spend the next 5 seconds or so dodging these little missiles that are going to keep turning around and coming after him. Another thing you should do is you should fly back into your territory where there's lots of anti-missiles, point defense, auto turrets, that sort of thing, so they can actually shoot all the missiles off of his back. If you fly straight away from most missiles, you will probably die. And that includes firestorms too. A Spor Crawler, this is really sad, and this has happened to me too. A Spor Crawler, which shoots this, in fact, let me get him moving so it doesn't kill him. Shoots this, he's going to shoot his projectile here. No. Back. See how slow that is in comparison? And it has no turn, very little turn. So a Spor Crawler has very sad chance at getting the Falcon. Stop you. Go to the corner. You're in trouble. No, not you guys. Not you guys, just the Falcon. There you go. Now he's going to stop. So the Spor Crawler Falcons. Yeah, if you just turn in one direction straight away from the enemy, even a Spor Crawler, which is meant for capital ships, can kill you. You just run in one straight direction and you don't turn, you don't change your direction every now and then. You can even die to a Spor Crawler, so that's something to think about. Yeah, okay, Falcon, you just sit over there now. So the SAM has a pretty decent chance. It does fairly well against the Falcon. Let's look at these mechs here. The Walker, again, it's got a flak turret, has the same effectiveness basically as a flak turret. So you'd have to have a lot of them to instant hit the Falcon. And if you don't, it's not going to do much. Now this is interesting. The Harbinger, okay, so the Kiwi, it is going to do some damage with its laser beam for just a little bit. So yes, flying. I'm sorry, oh wow, I still calling it the Kiwi even though I renamed it the Penguin. It'll be a Kiwi when it can fly, all right. But right now it's a Penguin because it wants to fly. Actually, the Kiwi doesn't fly anyway. Why am I saying that? Sad little bird unit with his EMP missile. He does do some damage with his laser beam to anything that flies over. About the same as a Walker. It might be a little more. Heck, for all I know, it goes right through. Well, I gotta test that out. It's not gonna be as devastating as like an Immortal gun, is what I'm trying to say. It's not. It's about as much of a threat as like these flak turrets, is what I'm trying to say. The Raptor is not gonna hit him. His missiles don't hit air units, but his plasma beam is not, as you can see right here. Those plasma beams are going to probably miss if the Falcon is flying fast enough. Now, if it slows down, that's a different story, but as you can see, these plasma things, they can, in fact, let me just show you a Mutalisk right here, just on a demonstration of a Mutalisk. See how he's missing a lot of those? See that? I mean, eventually, it's only when the Mutalisk turns that he takes the Okay, stop you. Stop the torment. You see my point though, the Raptor, his weapon is not going to be able to hit the Falcon effectively. It needs to be an instant hit weapon, which is why this is actually an interesting solution. The Harbinger's little light cannon here is actually interesting. It does 35 damage, range 20, instant hit. I would imagine that if you had 2 Harbingers, it would instant kill a Falcon that flies into their range. So there is that. That's something worth considering. A Harbinger actually could put a stop to Falcons, just because of the nature of their weapon. Catapult, again, I gotta slow those missile turn radius down, so if Catapult's not gonna do anything against it. A Goliath, it's got its long-range missiles, which are just as effective against, as a missile turret, which is pretty effective, and its guns. Got a Goliath right here on the pencil button. And its guns, range 11, damage 12. So it's going to get through, and air defense armor only gives 8. So it's going to get 4 damage through every, this is meaning a Goliath is even better than a flak turret, at least twice as better, a little more than twice as good as a flak turret in terms of getting damage through to a Falcon flying over. So it is going to do a little bit of damage, at least 4 damage. So if you had like 3 or 4 Goliaths, I mean that Falcon's barely getting out of there. Each of them might get 2 shots off. So the Goliath, his guns do all right against it. Its real power is its missile from far away and catching the Falcon off guard. But Harbinger, I think, is still your better bet when dealing with a Falcon or any kind of jet that's flying over. Wolf, same story almost as the Catapult, though its guns are useless because it's only doing 6 damage. And so it's not going to get through that bonus. A Punisher should one-shot the Falcon. So there is that. A Punisher should just one-shot the Falcon within range 20. So a Punisher is kind of like a don't come near me Falcon, you're going to die. That's the same thing with a Thor. The Thor is range 25 and it will one-shot a Falcon. So if a Falcon comes anywhere near, and now the Thor is slow to turn. So to be fair, the Falcon literally has to fly right in front of it, and the Thor has to be not in cooldown to catch him. So you can fly over a Thor, not recommended. Probably going to lose it eventually. So Thors, Punishers, and Harbingers, all of the mechs that got these cannons here, will shoot down a Falcon that is flying overhead. All these other mechs though, with like their plasma guns or like smaller guns, they're just not going to be as effective. So there is that. So that's how the mechs deal with it. As for other aircraft, a Falcon, a Wraith is obviously going to kill a Falcon in the same way that a Dark Templar would kill a Zealot. It's kind of apples to oranges because the cost of a Wraith is a lot more than a Falcon. Actually, it's supposed to be. I need to update that. That is not right. Yep, I'm glad I talked that out. The Wraith is supposed to be a stealth fighter, and it's supposed to cost a lot more than a Falcon. So what I need to do here is I need to reevaluate the Falcon cost, because let's face it, they are hard to use. I'm not going to try and BS you. The Falcon is a hard unit to use. Even if you know how to use them, they can still be hard to use. And if you're a new player, they seem like a waste of resources. I get that. I get it. They don't turn on a dime, and they're just kind of awkward. They do a lot of damage when they fly over, but they don't turn on a dime, and they're hard to control. And so, anyway, I need to reevaluate the cost here between the Falcon and the Wraith as compared to the other units. The Wraith, in my opinion, could be a very dangerous unit that nobody really ever uses. And the reason is because it has all of the advantages of speed, stealth, and its air defense bonus. It is, like I said, it should be at least twice as much as a Falcon. It's not right here. If you look at this, it's not. So I'm going to have to update that. Yeah, the Wraith is going to go to at least 250, 250. I mean, at the very least, and the Falcon might go down a little bit in some of this cost here. Just as kind of a ballpark idea. The reason is because the Wraith, well, actually, I'm not. I'm going to try and just stick to it. So the Wraith actually does counter the Falcon, and the reason is because the Falcon can't see the Wraith, but the Wraith can see the Falcon. The Falcon can missile the Wraith. I'm sorry, the Wraith can missile the Falcon, and the Falcon can't missile the Wraith. It's as simple as that. Wraiths are like stealth fight. Imagine like an F-22 fighting against an F-16, because that's really what we're comparing here. The Wraith is kind of based off of the F-22, which has a tighter turn and has stealth, and the Falcon has a wider turn. It's cheaper. It's just your basic air unit, and so yeah, the Wraith is going to counter the Falcon. Like I said, in the same way that a Dark Templar counters a Zealot, it's worth more, so it should do better. Now, in a fight where detection was there, no, the Falcon will actually counter the Wraith, because per cost. They're basically the same hit points and the same weapon, but if you take the stealth off the table, that's different. Now, the Falcon is going to win for cost. You're going to have at least 2 Falcons for every 1 Wraith. So, 1 Wraith will kill 1 Falcon, 1 Falcon will kill 1 Wraith, and 1 Wraith will be left, or 1 Falcon will be left standing. So there's that. Against the Viking, it should counter the Viking. Let me get one out here. I really do need a... It's been a while since I've done any battle tests with all the units, just because I knew there would be a lot of changes. Okay, now this is interesting. So the Viking is worth at least about twice as much as a Falcon. Only 50 less gas, but 250 more mineral. So he is worth about twice as much as a Falcon. The thing is, his missiles are torpedoes. Lands are torpedoes. He's meant to torpedo capital ships. He's kind of like a missile boat. He's kind of like a bomber, if you will, with torpedoes for capital ships in the air. And then when he lands, he turns into like a gun support unit. I know, I'm not trying to... So, his role is different. He's not actually... Falcons are supposed to counter a Viking. His torpedo range is only 55. Where's that Falcon? Is he flying around, Falcon? Here we go. He's in the corner where he's supposed to be. He's in trouble. He's doing bad pilot. Okay, so the Falcon, as you can see the weapon, all weapons. Falcon's range is 80. Does 40 damage every 5 seconds. And that's 40 times 2, I believe, because it's each per missile. Something like that. The missiles, the torpedoes do not turn as well as the Falcon's missiles. So that's something else to also consider. So he's got, the Viking has less range. He does more damage as a torpedo. It's meant to do damage and get through capital ship hulls. But the missile doesn't turn as well, so the Falcon can dodge it better, and it does have a lot less range. So that's what I mean when I say the fight between the Falcon and the Viking per cost. I would put my money on 2 Falcons over the 1 Viking every day. It's just, and that's fine. It's the way it's supposed to be. I'll have to retest this later once I get make some changes here to some of the stats, like the Falcon cost and Wraith cost. So the Falcon versus the Viking should beat the Viking. Falcons are also good at taking out drop ships before they're able to drop, as they're dropping, whatever. Heavy transport is different. You'd have to have a lot of Falcons to take a heavy transport out anytime soon. It would take a lot of missiles. I mean, you'd have to have like 4 or 5 Falcons to really bring the heavy transport down in a timely manner. And he can always just land anytime he wants. If he's like, hey, this is too many missiles, I'm just going to land here. Now the Valkyrie, this is interesting. The Valkyrie is an air superiority unit. Let me get it out here. The Valkyrie, long story short, the Valkyrie would kill the Falcons. The Valkyrie is a missile boat meant for air superiority, that's it. It's like a bunch of corruptors packed into one larger unit. Obviously a number of Falcons could hit it with enough missiles to do damage to it, but practically most people don't have more than 2 Falcons. They just don't. You don't see it, you don't see 6 Falcons. Who makes 6 Falcons, right? You only need 1 or 2. In some cases, with a lot of units, only 1 or 2 goes a long way, and anything more than that is overkill. If he had 6 Falcons or something like that, yeah, they could all missile this poor Valkyrie. But again, 6 Falcons, if you look at the cost here, a Valkyrie is only worth about twice as much as a Falcon, so that's not really an accurate analogy. 2 Falcons versus 1 Valkyrie, I would put my money on the Valkyrie. Simple as that. It fires a salvo, it's range 65, but it fires a bunch of little missiles. It could actually take both Falcons out, because when it fires into an area, it picks enemy targets, multiple enemy targets in that area. So if you had 2 Falcons near each other, it's actually going to attack both of them at the same time. And it's got 450 hit points as opposed to the Falcon's 50. So, again, I have not battle tested some of these newer units yet against every single possible combination. I will at some point have to update all that and update my spreadsheet so I can see how much each unit survives well against the other. But I'm going to guess and say that the Valkyrie would win against 2 Falcons. I think that's a pretty safe bet. So, the Valkyrie, it counters the Falcon. That's a counter for the Falcon. Firestorm is a bomber, so the Falcon definitely takes those out. Falcon is a very good counter to the bomber. And the stealth bomber, the Griffin. So there's that. The Falcon does not do well against a lot of capital ships unless you have a lot of them. Its damage per second is just not well enough. And I'm gonna pause the video here because I have to go drop a deuce. I will return.